And hello there. My name is John Hemming Clark, author of The Adventures of Horace Horrise. And this one, Horace Horrise Goes to Church, is number 6 and is out now, $5.99 from Amazon. I thought that I would just do a short video for you to read a bit about the book and what's going on. Horace has been sent to church on church parade. He didn't want to go because he thought he knew what church was like. But he gets a bit of a shock. Here we go. "What's it like in church?" Charlie whispered to Horace as they walked along the gravel path that led to the south door of the huge and imposing modern stone building that dominated this part of Chislehurst. There were certainly some very, very big houses in Chislehurst, but St Saviour's was the biggest building. If Horace's attendance was sporadic to the point of non-existence at normal services, Charlie's was practically non-existent to any event inside a church apart from his presence at the annual school play that took part in the darkened depths of winter, where Charlie felt that it looked less like a church, whatever that look was, and more like a cinema or theatre. Horace cast his mind back to the clips and services that he had seen in films or on television, and felt that he could speak with subjective authority, filling in the gaps with his own misguided assumptions. Safe in the knowledge that no one else would know better, he said, "There will be loads of big steps up or down to a huge black oak door, which will slowly open, and it will squeak a lot, and some of that noise will be from the mice that are hiding in the holes in the thick walls. The church will be full of people, well, not full of people, in fact just a few, and they will be sitting quietly in pews, which are long benches with backs to them, and they're really very uncomfortable. The people will all be dressed in boring colours like black, unless they're being filmed, and the men will all be wearing suits and ties. The women will all have hats on, otherwise they're not allowed in, and they will be very old. The women, if not the hats, but the hats as well probably, with lace and netting that goes over their faces, so you can't see who they are very well, in case they're not allowed. Like in other religions, but only in church. There will be people in white smocks like fishermen, but they'll have black dresses on underneath, even the men, and they'll be singing in a choir, but no one else sings, because I don't think that that's allowed either, unless they've been on a course, and they're up the front after they've paraded like us, but only inside the church. Oh, and there'll be an old organ somewhere with great big pipes like metal chimneys, as on a merry-go-round, but without the horses to sit on. There might be, but there probably won't be, any chocolate, because it's not a special service, and it'll be freezing because there'll be a cold tiled floor." So that's Horace's idea. By the end of Horace's fulsome explanation, the scouts at the front of the detail had arrived at the entrance, where there were no steps at all, but a gentle slope. There was a door, but not a big black oak door, but a glass one, with a modern design etched into it. As the clock struck 11 o'clock, the scouts entered, and all were immediately taken in by how warm the building was, helped by wall-to-wall carpeting that was a welcoming rich red. An equally welcoming young man with a bright yellow t-shirt and the word "Buzzin" across the front strolled over, waving his hands in the air. "Hiya, Scouts," he said. "Fancy sitting at the front?" A few mouths opened, but nothing was said. Nothing needed to be said, for the truth was that no one of school age would ever volunteer to sit at the front of anything that involved a teacher or a preacher, unless they were told to. The fact was that there was only one answer, the wrong answer, and one that no scout, however polite, was ever going to utter, and that answer was yes. As an equally young lady sauntered over, the young man continued without waiting for a reply, "Mary here will show you the way." Mary smiled at the scouts and didn't stop smiling even when there appeared to be no one or no thing to stare at. She led the scouts to the front 2 rows on one side of the central aisle. As Horace followed on behind, he couldn't help but notice that Mary had a similarly coloured t-shirt on as the young man at the door. On the back, hers read, "For you, Jesus!" As the scouts sat down on the comfortable chairs, the colour of which complemented the red carpet, Charlie and Horace found themselves on the central aisle end of the 2nd row. Horace was concerned that this may mean being picked on to answer an awkward question, but he needn't have worried too much. Mary came over and leaned over Horace a little too close for his own personal comfort, whereupon he noticed that she was buzzing on the front as well. "Can I get you anything?" she asked, looking straight at Horace. He didn't know quite what to say, certainly not what he was meant to say, having been caught completely off guard. He hummed and hawed for a few seconds, then wondered if he could get away with putting his hand up to be excused, for this was definitely an awkward question category. The problem was that he wasn't too sure whether it was church stuff or nice stuff that the anything included that Mary was offering to get. So, as nobody else further down the line opened their mouths to come to his rescue, instead choosing to look either down at the floor or up in the air, anywhere but at Mary, Horace decided to cover both bases and said, taking his life into his own hands, "I should like a copy of the Holy Bible and some hot chocolate and a biscuit, please." "Cool," said Mary without batting an eyelid. "Anyone else?" No one else spoke, which was so utterly uncharacteristic of the Ravens. They just continued to stare at the floor and roof. Finally, Horace said, "And if I may, 5 more for the other Ravens, please." So, that's Horace's venture into the church on Church Parade at the start of this particular story. If you'd like to read more, it's $5.99. It's getting just 5-star reviews on Amazon at the moment. And that is it for now. The next book will be out shortly. But for now, over and out. Bye-bye.